I'm sure many of you are aware of the Bayonetta 3 situation at this point, where the original actor for Bayonetta, Hale Taylor, spoke out because she revealed that she refused the role of Bayonetta for Bayonetta 3 because of what she deemed to be insultingly low pay, which is why Jennifer Hale has taken over as the new voice of Bayonetta, as reported by Game Informer on October 5th. And back then, the way Platinum Games framed the situation was that various overlapping circumstances made it difficult for Hale Taylor to reprise her role. It's abundantly clear at this point that Platinum Games has been holding back some pertinent information, as Hale Taylor has taken to Twitter to voice her grievances against the way Platinum Games and Hideki Kamiya himself sort of negotiated with her, where they offered her a $4,000 flat rate to voice Bayonetta for the entirety of Bayonetta 3. This video right here has already garnered almost 10 million views, and the follow-up videos have also garnered significant viewership. She emphasized that she wasn't asking for the world, she was just asking for a reasonable living wage. She mentioned that the $4,000 flat wasn't even the best offer, that she was made a worse offer before Hideki Kamiya said, how about $4,000 to voice Bayonetta for the whole game? And this whole situation disillusioned her enough that she urged fans to boycott the game and instead donate the money that they would have given to Platinum Games and Nintendo to buy Bayonetta 3 to charity instead. And she also did low-key call out Jennifer Hale, the new actor for Bayonetta. While she didn't mention Jennifer by name, she insisted that it's not right for Jennifer to say that I am Bayonetta now and promote herself as the character when Helena established the character and when she was screwed out of the role. That's sort of her stance on things, and that's especially relevant in today's video, but we'll get to that in a bit. Meanwhile, Platinum Games executive and Bayonetta creator Hideki Kamiya is not looking good with the way he's been communicating about all of this. His response to Hale Taylor's video was sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth, insinuating that there might be more to the story than meets the eye, but the fact that he's not clarifying and the fact that he's been blocking people en masse who have been questioning why Platinum Games decided to disrespect the value and of Hale Taylor's voice actor work as Bayonetta, all of that's made it more difficult to give Hideki Kamiya and Platinum Games the benefit of the doubt, especially when Hideki Kamiya continues to insist on following his rules for not getting blocked when there's a serious situation. You know, this was kind of a meme thing, but now it's like, okay, we need to have a serious talk about what's going on here, and the fact that he refuses to communicate and insists on blocking people who are asking about this is just not a good look. Now, in today's video, we're going to focus on Jennifer Hale's side of the story. She already sort of insinuating through the tweets that she's been liking lately that she did not have the context for this whole situation before she auditioned for the role and accepted the role. It was implied that she's under NDA, so that prevents her from saying more than she actually wants to say. She also liked this tweet saying, go harass Platinum instead of Jennifer Hale because Jennifer Hale knew nothing. She also liked my tweet where I pointed out the fact that she's been liking these tweets that seem to imply that she was not made aware of Helena's situation before she took on the role of Bayonetta, and that NDAs might be preventing her from saying anything, so direct your frustrations at the responsible parties, the companies, and the decision makers. Along the way, a number of voice actors have been speaking out in support of Helena's plea that, voice actors should be paid more, that their work is worth more than the scraps that they seem to be paid. Brian Deckard tweeted at Hideki Kamiya, those who treat others well are treated well in return. You make us all sad. Greed is ugly. And various other voice actors essentially echoed similar sentiments, and it's just been quite the loud discourse on Twitter as of late. Christopher Randolph, who plays Otacon and Huey in the Metal Gear series, agreed with my tweet that it's incredibly telling that this news isn't shocking from many voice actors, that this shouldn't be the status quo, that the floor of fair compensation and treatment for voice actors should be raised drastically. Other voice actors have been providing more specific details about the kinds of pay that voice actors can expect, and why more often than not, it's just not enough, why voice actors feel like they're undercut when it comes to payment. Here's another voice actor highlighting the kind of pay that they've been seeing. Someone else who came in support of Hale Taylor's grievance of being paid a flat fee of $4,000 to voice an iconic character in a multi-million-dollar franchise for the third outing is Raul Coley, who is an on-screen actor who's also dabbled in voice acting. He tweeted, the lack of respect shown to voice actors and their craft is shameful. I cannot fathom how anyone thinks paying $4,000 for the third entry to a multi-million-dollar franchise to their lead is anything but insulting. And when asked comparatively, can you share how much you earned for your gaming roles, Raul Coley confirmed that he's earned more. a lot more from the voiceover stuff that he's done, likely because he does come from an on-screen background and he's played enough prominent characters. He is sort of a known name in the acting industry, so he's able to get paid more even if he's not necessarily voicing the iconic lead. We've also been seeing some game developers chime in, like Cory Barlog from Santa Monica Studios, creative director of the rebooted God of War. He had this take to share: you have to fight for the people who give you great performances, just like you have to fight for all the people on your team because their work makes the entire game possible. Fight for all your people, respect them, treat them well, so you can make great things again. I do love this tweet because it does bring forward the point that while Helena Taylor's grievances and qualms against the pay offer that she was made are completely valid, her calling for a boycott diminishes the fact that there's an entire team that worked on Bayonetta 3. You know, it's not just Helena Taylor's performance as Bayonetta that makes the video game Bayonetta. It's also all of the programmers, the artists, the sound engineers, the directors, the writers, the editors, quality assurance. All of these different departments come together to make this game. Helena herself is not the game by herself, you know what I mean? There's a lot more work that goes into making a video game than just the voice actors. Helena, while she does play Bayonetta, isn't the Bayonetta IP, the Bayonetta games by herself. So Cory here is saying, don't create this divide, fight for everyone, for both, compensating great performances fairly and for the people and the teams who work together to make entire games possible. I think that's a very fair perspective. At the very least, I hope, the developers at Platinum Games are getting paid fairly. Now, one point of view we haven't heard from until recently was Jennifer Hale, who's been kind of caught in the crossfire of the situation that really isn't her fault, and Helena Taylor low-key calling her out did instigate some harassment against her, which is unfortunate, and I think that is an aspect of Helena Taylor's video messages that I disagree with, where she called out Jennifer Hale not knowing her circumstances, her side of the story, and Jennifer Hale presented in her own words what she thinks about all of this. About Bayonetta 3, says Jennifer Hale, as a longtime member of the voice acting community, I support every actor's right to be paid well and have advocated consistently for this for years. And yeah, speak to any veteran voice actor who's been doing this for a while and who know Jennifer Hale. All of them will vouch for Jennifer Hale's integrity. She's not the kind of person who would take on a role that's replacing another voice actor out of malicious intention. Anyone who knows me or has followed my career will know that I have great respect for my peers and that I am an advocate for all members of the community. And if she had known about Helena's situation and, maybe been kept more in the loop by Platinum Games and Hideki Kamiya and all these things, maybe things would have turned out differently. Maybe Jennifer would have made different decisions. I am under an NDA and I'm not at liberty to speak regarding this situation. My reputation speaks for itself. I sincerely ask that everyone keep in mind that this game has been created by an entire team of hardworking, dedicated people, and I hope everyone will keep an open mind about what they've created. This is essentially a similar sentiment to what Cory Barlog shared, where she is essentially imploring people to keep in mind that there is a whole team who, had no influence in the decisions surrounding Helena Taylor's payment. While Helena has all the right to have her grievances and say boycott the game, at the end of the day, also keep in mind that there is a group of people who are passionate about this thing. Of course, people are allowed to do whatever they want to do based on what their morals and ideals and stances are on things like, the lead of a major IP for the third outing getting so severely underpaid. Finally, Jennifer Hale calls for a peaceful and level-headed resolution to all of this. I hope that everyone involved may resolve their differences in an amicable and respectful way with love and respect to you all, Jennifer Hale. I do think that Jennifer Hale has been very patient and a class act throughout all of this and has handled this situation gracefully despite the fact that she has been getting some hate and harassment. And I also do think that Helena Taylor jumped the gun big time by calling out Jennifer Hale the way she did without understanding her circumstances and the fact that she's just an actor and she doesn't have control over corporate decisions, so I think that's one area where Helena Taylor should be criticized. But I certainly don't disagree with Helena Taylor speaking out about the offer that she was made, but I think she should have left it at that and allowed that conversation to kind of flourish without it being muddled by essentially blaming parties that are not to blame. Now, beyond her statement, Jennifer Hale has also been liking various tweets that she seems to agree with, among them being this series of tweets by Kimlin Tran, who is a voice actor. She said, "It's a really lousy situation, basically. Everything was already laid out and makes enough sense without assumptions needed. If you read past headlines and literally Google the not cited sources like SAG-AFTRA rates, actors have been chiming in and ignored. It's exhausting." And when somebody responded with, "I did look up the rates. Am I wrong in saying basically she was shorted?" Kimlin Tran responded with, "Hopefully this helps a little," essentially retweeting Jonas Scott's tweet where he highlights the union pay rates, even though I don't even know if Bayonetta 3 is necessarily union. But putting that aside, Kimlin Tran said, "Hopefully this helps a little. I'll try to post more when I get back." But the summary is, it's legal, but not right. Which is a very similar quote to what Helen expressed at the end of part 1 of her video messages.
"What they did was legal, but it was immoral."
What she was offered was essentially in the very low part of what's legally allowed, is essentially what she was implying. And just because something is legal doesn't mean it's necessarily moral. Kind of like how the way teachers are underpaid is technically legal, but it's not moral because teachers serve an important function and they deserve a better standard of living through better living wages. And I'm not trying to say that voice actors are as important or more important than teachers or whatever. What I'm trying to say is that voice actors are trying to make a living from the work that they do, from the talents that they possess. And when companies can't afford to pay actors more, especially an actor who's taken on the lead, an iconic lead of a major IP for the third major outing in a multi-million-dollar project, it shouldn't be that that person's only getting paid a measly $4,000 for the entirety of this third entry to play the role for the entire game, even if it is technically legal. You know, there can be negotiations for that actor to receive higher pay, given what she's contributed and given the fact that the way she shaped and created the character, the essence and performance of the character, you know, does help sell the game. It's not the sole factor that sells copies of Bayonetta, but it's a contributing factor given that, you know, the character of Bayonetta is, you know, such a major part of why the series has become iconic. And so, you know, these actors could stand to get paid more and just be helped in allowing them to make a living out of a job that is, you know, really difficult. The career of voice acting is not an easy one to navigate, and in large part it has to do with the fact that companies cheapen out as much as possible to pay actors the lowest they can be paid. Now, when it comes to what the current standards are, voice actors like William Sawyers has provided additional insight. When somebody asked, is it reasonable to assume that $4,000 for this job was lowballing, William Sawyers said this: "This seems in line with most overscale union work." That's one of the things that puzzles me about all of this. I guess people outside our business just don't know how much voice work usually pays. Different for stars, of course, but not for us. And then responding to, and this is why she is putting herself out there, giving people not in the business an idea of how underpaid and underappreciated they can be. William Sawyers responded, "I support everything you said here, except referring to $4,000 as lowball. Most video game main characters take somewhere around 2 or 3 4-hour sessions. If someone offered me $4,000 for 8 hours, I'd be very happy with it." I think the number of hours you work as a lead in a video game depends on the video game. Some are, 10 to 15 hours long and very sort of linear, whereas others are expansive open world, RPGs where there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of branching narrative paths and all these things. That's when you get tons and tons of dialogue that you may record over the course of months, maybe years. When it comes to Bayonetta, Helena Taylor has said in the past that it took her roughly 4 4-hour sessions to record for all of Bayonetta 1 and all of Bayonetta 2. I'm curious if Bayonetta 3 is something similar. Let's assume that it is 4 4-hour sessions. When looking at it from the perspective of union rates, yes, it does line up. This is the rate that a lot of voice actors will see. Essentially, 1 day, up to 4 hours, and up to 3 voices for almost $1,000. Roughly 4 of these sessions would amount to roughly $4,000, which is what Helena Taylor was offered as a flat fee for doing the entirety of Bayonetta 3. But when it comes to union gigs, payments are offered by session. That's the rule. You can't do we're assuming that it'll take about 4 sessions to record for the entire game, so this is what we're going to pay you as a flat fee. You can't do that. You have to pay by session. But this brings us back to legal, but not necessarily moral. These are the minimum requirements. It's possible to negotiate higher rates. Actors often do, especially once they reach a certain level of prominence. Raul Coley highlighted how because he's been on some major on-camera projects, he's able to get more pay out of voiceover work than Helena Taylor playing the lead character of a major IP. And voice actor Sissy Jones here highlights in her series of tweets, for those asking, under US union rates, $4,000 is about 4 full session fees, 4 hours each, to fully voice this character/game. But here's one important note that she emphasizes based on her experiences. Also, when a character is reprised, it's generally considered that we'll get at least some pay bump since there is little to no back-end pay with video games. It'd be one thing if this was Helena Taylor's first outing as Bayonetta and she's kind of untested, but she's done 2 Bayonetta games now. This is her 3rd, and Bayonetta has become quite a recognizable character, enough that she was made into a Super Smash Bros. Character. So, given that level of prominence for a character that she kind of helped create, negotiating for a higher wage isn't unreasonable. Again, not millions of dollars, but more than $4,000 for the entirety of a major new release. I think that's a fair thing to ask for. Now, some people have pointed out that Helena Taylor doesn't have a long list of credits. Over the last few years, if you check her IMDb, all that's there is pretty much her playing Bayonetta, but Sissy Jones insists that if she's reprising a character, she should be compensated fairly, regardless of how big her IMDb credits list is, and it could be that she was overexposed after B2, or Bayonetta 2, so harder to book main roles. Shouldn't matter how much she's booked since then, to be honest. So that's kind of her stance on the situation when it comes to the Helena Taylor side of things. Going back to the Jennifer Hale side of things, somebody who contributed to the conversation was Steve Bloom, who needs no introduction, prominent voice actor, Spike in Cowboy Bebop, Vincent Valentine, Final Fantasy VII, many, many more that I'm sure many of you can think off of the top of your heads. Steve Bloom said, well, good morning. The trolls have come out with all kinds of unfounded accusations regarding Bayonetta, so let's get some things straight. I literally just found out yesterday that Jennifer Hale will be voicing the role moving forward. I have always said that the roles are not ours, but I have never said you can't take over a legacy role. I've done plenty. What I've also said is that if there is an audition for a role that someone else is currently voicing, do your due diligence, ask why this is happening, why that actor is being replaced, contact the person if you know them and talk to them if you can. Make sure that there is a good reason other than just corporate greed for the role being recast. What I know for a fact is that Jennifer Hale is the most honorable among us, implying that he believes deep in his heart that Jennifer Hale didn't take on the role of Bayonetta for a nefarious reason. She wasn't, again, going, mwahaha, now I get to be Bayonetta, screw the other actor. She probably just wasn't kept in the loop about a lot of things. I don't know anything about this game or the internal circumstances, but I do know that Jennifer does more due diligence than any other actor I've ever known and has always had the backs of everyone in our industry and in her life. There's obviously a lot that happened behind the scenes that nobody can talk about. That's another thing. There might be more context, more to the story that we don't know about, that if we knew about, might shift our perspectives and optics on certain aspects of this matter. We all sign NDAs to ensure the privacy of all concerned. I'm speaking out because Jennifer's privacy has been violated by people who have decided they have it all figured out. They don't. Back off her. She's a great person, a great actress, and she's earned this. I stand with her and always will. I think it's possible to both support Helena Taylor and her understandable frustrations at Platinum Games and Hideki Kamiya for the lowball offer that they made her, while also supporting Jennifer Hale and wishing her the best and understanding that she didn't have control over the situation and that she didn't approach this role with ill intent. And finally, both William Sawyers and Steve Bloom share their experiences on having some of their roles replaced. I've replaced actors, I've been replaced, comes with a territory. That is indeed the entertainment business. Nobody technically owns a role or a character. It's all up to the IP owners to decide what they want to do with these characters. Though, of course, when roles are passed down to new actors in a way where all parties mutually agree and when it's done in good faith, then that creates just a better flow on that front. When there's betrayals and all these things behind the scenes, yeah, fans will pick up on that, and fans become invested in the actors who play these characters, and so they will want to support actors if they feel like they were betrayed out of a role. You know, and we're not talking about like a different version of a role. In the case of Bayonetta 3, we're talking about the same Bayonetta from the same series of games, though narratively there might be something going on, but regardless, it's still the same Bayonetta series of titles. It's not some, DMC versus Devil May Cry type of situation. So, Helena returning should be par for the course. But the character is not hers in a legal and technical sense. Fans can decide, of course, whether, she is the character in their hearts and all these things. But yeah, it does come with the territory. I recorded the entire character of Alex Yu in an early version of Prey. They eventually replaced me with Benedict Wong. Having played the game, I can say that was an excellent call because Benedict Wong. Steve Bloom followed up with, we all get replaced, it sucks, but unless we own the property, the roles are never ours. And when one door closes, more possibilities present themselves. Just stay alert, keep your skills sharp, and keep swimming. And yeah, as a voice actor myself, that's a reality that I'm ready for. Who knows? One of these days I might land a major role that down the line may get replaced. Oh well, it comes with the territory. But I also get the frustration of Helena could have been brought back, and they just chose to lowball her so hard that it made her say, no, this is really undignified. It wasn't a creative decision to pass down the role to somebody else. It was a monetary decision. It was, their inability to pay more than $4,000, which is chump change considering that companies like Platinum Games and Nintendo are dealing with projects that are multi-million-dollar projects. But with all said and done, look, I don't think it has to be about choosing a side between these two actors. It doesn't have to be Helena Taylor versus Jennifer Hale. Both actors were in some way screwed over by the companies who didn't inform them about pertinent information or who lowball them when it comes to how much they were willing to pay for the work. I think Helena Taylor could have done a better job at, not calling out entities who are ultimately not responsible for the situation, but she rightfully called out the fact that she was only getting paid $4,000 for returning to a major IP that's multi-million. And in equal measure, I do think that any harassment or frustration or backlash that's directed at Jennifer Hale is utterly uncalled for and completely unfair. And I do wish Jennifer Hale the best in taking on this role, because ultimately, somebody has to play the role. It could have been any actor. Jennifer Hale, clearly not being kept in the loop about everything, chose to take the role on. And at this stage, the best we can hope for is that, that we still get a good experience out of Bayonetta 3, unless you have a strong enough stance against how they treated Helena Taylor that you want to boycott the game. At the end of the day, that's a personal decision. But yeah, there you have it, folks. That's kind of everything you need to know about the latest developments surrounding the whole Bayonetta 3 voice actors controversy. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on this whole matter. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.